All right, well, welcome to this celebration of the life of Dorothea Bradley. I'm Scott Phelps, and a member of the Pasadena Baha'i community. And the Spiritual Assembly has asked me to MC this program. We do have a program, and there will be a chance for everybody. I want to recognize that the mayor is in attendance, and school board member Michelle Bailey is in attendance, and longtime community activist and community organizer and friend of Dorothea, Brian Barry's in attendance. So we will have a chance for everybody to make remarks after we go through the program of prayers and remarks by Judge Nelson, who's obviously in attendance, and presentation of some photos of Dorothea, some readings, some videos, musical prayer, and then we will have some time for everybody to remark on this wonderful soul that we were all blessed to have some time with. So the first thing I'm going to do is read a short biography on Dorothea that was prepared by one of the members of the Spiritual Assembly here in Pasadena, Adria. Dorothea Bradley was born at the Sloan Presbyterian Hospital in New York on June 15th, 1933. To parents Elizabeth Bradley and Aurelius Lanier Bradley. When Dorothea was 18, she lived in Los Angeles and attended UCLA, where she studied occupational therapy and met her future husband. She married at age 20. She lived for a time in Switzerland and then Africa, working as a photojournalist. In retrospect, it would appear that Dorothea's career choice was indicative of her social consciousness and her desire to be of service to people who needed her in some capacity or another. Everything she involved herself with was stamped with her characteristic joyfulness, compassion, altruism, candor, and courage. As a Baha'i, Dorothea was aware that unity can be achieved by the practice of justice, the elimination of prejudice of all kinds, and the acceptance of the oneness of mankind, three of the tenets of the faith that she embodied. When Dorothea chose to reside in Pasadena, it quickly became evident that this community would come to benefit from this most extraordinary humanitarian. Dorothea was a person who operated at the grassroots level, perceiving a need and then finding a way of serving to alleviate the issue at hand. Her philosophy and goal was to not only alleviate people's needs, but also to elevate the people so to be able to help themselves. Dorothea had courageously and optimistically battled with multiple health issues, but on the evening of April 20th, 2020, Dorothea Bradley passed from this earthly existence at the age of 86. The Baha'i community, the city of Pasadena, and greater Los Angeles, indeed, the world, has lost a luminary who worked tirelessly, joyfully, and in the spirit of service to uplift those in need. She will be truly missed. Okay, now we have the bounty of having Dorothy Dixon, who will chant an opening prayer.
O son of being, thy paradise is my love, thy heavenly home. Reunion with me, enter therein, and tarry not, and tarry not, and tarry not, and tarry not. This is that which hath been destined for thee in our kingdom above. This is that which hath been destined for thee in our kingdom kingdom above, and our exalted dominion. O Son of Be, thy paradise is my love, thy heavenly home.
Thank you, Dorothy. We now have the bounty of hearing from another Dorothy, Judge Dorothy Nelson.
You're unmuted by host. All right. I can't tell you what a joy it is to be with this gathering. The Dorothea Bradley was that absolutely indomitable spirit who never rested without thinking how she could improve the lives of others. When we moved to Pasadena and I found she was a Baha'i, I cannot tell you how thrilled my family and I were all. Because Baha'is believe we're here to know and love God and to make the world a better place. And that work performed in the spirit of service is elevated to the station of prayer. Dorothea was the most prayer-giving person I have ever met in my life, which was dedicated to helping in particular the handicapped. She had a spinal arthritic condition which later forced her to be in a wheelchair. The handicapped, the poor, the homeless, and basically everybody. When my children were teenagers, they were part of a teenage group that went to Dorothea's house every Saturday to pack food for all of these people she was serving. We're not talking about hundreds now, we're talking about thousands of people. And that had a tremendous effect on my own children. She got evicted from her rent-free home. What she do? She continued living out of her car. When I think of people now who are complaining about their way of life. And at Thanksgiving and Christmas, I can remember my daughter having 2 huge pans of turkey dressing because she said, Mom, Dorothea said they like the dressing even better than the turkey. It was my good fortune that when there was a racial problem in Pasadena, Chief of Police Malakian came to see me at the Western Justice Center. Who was his friend who suggested it? It was Dorothea. And he said, I tried to mediate the dispute at the Jackie Robinson Center, but then Dorothea told me about your Western Justice Center that was formed to bring about peaceful resolution of disputes. And of course, we had some judges, some lawyers, and some community leaders on our board. Well, Chief Maleki and I became very good friends, and we went over to the Jackie Robinson Center and were successful in our mediation, after which Chief Maleki put the Western Justice Center in his budget to train police officers how to approach people on the street with mediation in mind. When he left to go to Washington, I was sorry to see him go. Everybody loved Dorothea, and of course, immediately she became friends with as usual, the mayor and the police chief. And she has been working with the police chief, Perez. There's a lovely video out about that ever since that time. She loved every human being. She served every human being. And she didn't matter whether they were the mayor, the police chief, even the president, because she was honest, trustworthy, loving, caring, and really believing in what Baha'u'llah, the founder of the faith, said: the earth is but one country. She said to me, Dorothy, these are my people. I am responsible for making them happier and better. I'd like to close with the words of Baha'u'llah, the proper founder of the Baha'i faith. All that are on earth shall pass away, while good deeds alone shall endure. The good deeds of Dorothea Bradley have inspired me and all I know, and will endure forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Nelson. Now we're going to watch a presentation of photos of Dorothea, some Baha'i readings, and short videos that the friends have shared about their wonderful experiences with Dorothea.
O Son of the Supreme, I have made death a messenger of joy to thee. Wherefore dost thou grieve? I made the light to shed on thee its splendor. Why dost thou veil thyself therefrom?
O Son of Man, ascend into my heaven, that thou mayest obtain the joy of reunion, and from the chalice of imperishable glory quaff the peerless wine.
O offspring of dust, be not content with the ease of a passing day, and deprive not thyself of everlasting rest. Barter not the garden of eternal delight for the dust heap of a mortal world. Up from thy prison ascend unto the glorious meads above, and from thy mortal cage wing thy flight unto the paradise of the placeless.
O Son of Being, bring thyself to account each day ere thou art summoned to a reckoning, for death, unheralded, shall come upon thee, and thou shalt be called to give account for thy deeds.
O Son of Man, sorrow not, save that thou art far from us. Rejoice not, save that thou art drawing near and returning unto us.
And now concerning thy question regarding the soul of man and its survival after death. Know thou of a truth that the soul, after its separation from the body, will continue to progress until it attaineth the presence of God, in a state and condition which neither the revolution of ages and centuries nor the changes and chances of this world can alter. It will endure as long as the kingdom of God, his sovereignty, his dominion and power will endure. It will manifest the signs of God and his attributes, and will reveal his loving kindness and bounty. The movement of my pen is stilled when it attempteth to befittingly describe the loftiness and glory of so exalted a station. The honor with which the hand of mercy will invest the soul is such as no tongue can adequately reveal, nor any other earthly agency describe.
The nature of the soul after death can never be described, nor is it meet and permissible to reveal its whole character to the eyes of men. The prophets and messengers of God have been sent down for the sole purpose of guiding mankind to the straight path of truth. The purpose underlying their revelation hath been to educate all men, that they may, at the hour of death, ascend in the utmost purity and sanctity, and with absolute detachment to the throne of the Most High. The light which these souls radiate is responsible for the progress of the world and the advancement of its peoples. They are like unto leaven, which leaveneth the world of being, and constitute the animating force through which the arts and wonders of the world are made manifest. Through them the clouds rain their bounty upon men, and the earth bringeth forth its fruits. All things must needs have a cause, a motive power, an animating principle. These souls and symbols of detachment have provided and will continue to provide the supreme moving impulse in the world of being. The world beyond is as different from this world as this world is different from that of the child while still in the womb of its mother. When the soul attaineth the presence of God, it will assume the form that befitteth its immortality and is worthy of its celestial habitation. Such an existence is a contingent and not an absolute existence, inasmuch as the former is preceded by a cause, whilst the latter is independent thereof. Absolute existence is strictly confined to God. Exalted be his glory. Well is it with them that apprehend this truth.
If thou wishest to guide the souls, it is incumbent on thee to be firm, to be good, and to be imbued with praiseworthy attributes and divine qualities under all circumstances. Be a sign of love, a manifestation of mercy, a fountain of tenderness, kind-hearted, good to all and gentle to the servants of God, and especially to those who bear relation to thee, both men and women. Bear every ordeal that befalleth thee from the people, and confront them not save with kindness, with great love and good wishes.
Just as the conception of faith hath existed from the beginning that hath no beginning, and will endure till the end that hath no end, in like manner will the true believer eternally live and endure. His spirit will everlastingly circle round the will of God. He will last as long as God himself will last. He is revealed through the revelation of God, and is hidden at his bidding. It is evident that the loftiest mansions in the realm of immortality hath been ordained as the habitation of them that have truly believed in God and his signs. Death can never invade that holy seat. Thus have we entrusted thee with the signs of thy Lord, that thou mayest persevere in thy love for him, and be of them that comprehend this truth.
When thou shuttest thine eyes to the dark world, and lookest upward and heavenward, thou wilt see light upon light, stretching from eternity to eternity. The reality of the mysteries will be revealed. Happy is the pure soul who does not attach himself to transient conditions and comforts, but rather seeks to attach himself to the purity, nobility, and splendor of the world which endures.
Hi everybody, this is Jean Parker in Tucson, Arizona, and I have a memory about Dorothea I would like to share at her memorial. And this took place, it must have been, I think it was 4 years ago. It was my final year living in Pasadena prior to moving to Tucson, and it was Christmas time, it was the holidays, and I remember the holidays have never been an easy time for me, and I'm thinking where to go for Christmas, and because even though I'm a Baha'i, I still do celebrate Christmas, and I like to be with people on that day. And Dorothea was actually ill on that day. She was in bed, but somehow she had engineered a feast, and it was a feast. It was glorious, and it was wonderful. And I remember Mariam Afshar was there, and Bob Hopper, and Michael Hendrick, and a bunch of people, and she had all of this food in her house, and people could come, and it was wonderful company, and I will always remember that about Dorothea, and so I just wanted to share that little anecdote.
Hello, dear friends, celebrating the life of Dorothea Bradley. I just wanted to offer my remembrances of such a wonderful person. I was very fortunate in my youth to have worked with her in her food program. She was so responsible and conscientious. I just remember that very distinctly. She was going away for a couple of weeks, so she took me with her in the U-Haul truck down to LA to the farmers market and the food bank. And I saw the relationship she had with the farmers who all loved her, and the food bank. And then, we brought everything back and put it in bags. And she was so nice to the folks who were relying on that weekly bag of food. I also remember that she was very, very humble. We had stopped somewhere for a meal, and she pointed out to me that, Scott, everybody's got their thing, everybody's got their addiction. She used to say, mine is food, right? Some people's could be drugs or alcohol, right? So she was such a humble, loving person, and I was so blessed to have shared some time with her. And over the years, we kept in touch, and I just remember that wonderful big voice and walk-in Baha'u'llah smile. So I love you, Dorothea, and I hope you'll be assisting us from on high in our efforts to to forge a more just and peaceful society.
Hello, dear friends. This is Steve Licata with my family. I've known Dorothea Bradley for about 34 years, and she's really changed my life by setting a great example of service to others, and also by helping me look at the world in different terms. And I think my family would like to share a few words too.
It had been a blessing to have Dorothy in our lives. We will always look forward to see her coming to our parties and supporting the boys with their music. We miss her, and her legacy is exemplary, helping others all the time.
And my brother and I really wanted to thank her because she was one of our very first supporters. When we were just starting out, she offered her TV show as a platform for us to perform, and we really can't thank her enough for that.
Another quality in addition to serving others that we really appreciated was her sense of humor, always telling us stories and giving some comedic advice to me. All right, and this is a request that you'd always ask for. Please feel free to sing along. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yeah, baby, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, fall, all you gotta do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. You got a friend.
Thank you, Dorothea. We love you.
Greetings, community. I'm so happy to be here. Today, we have something wonderful, so tell somebody you love them. Walk in Baha'u'llah, smile, and keep Buddha in your heart. I'd like to introduce you to one of my bestest best friends, and somebody I'm so proud of, that I've known for so long. This is Chief Perez. Pasadena, please keep it.
Yes.
And next to me is Megan. Megan and I do things, and she'll tell you what. Tell them what.
For the community. We support families that are in transition through the Unified School District with the Pasadena Fire Department. We're going to work with the police. We're the community for the community. That's what we're doing here.
We fed more than 1,500 people Thanksgiving. And next to you is?
Lieutenant Clausen, Pasadena Police Department.
Wait, I was going to tell him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is a very dear friend of mine, Lieutenant Clausen. It's good to see you, and I'm happy you came.
Thank you very much for the invite.
Oh my God, oh thou forgiver of sins, bestower of gifts, dispeller of afflictions. Verily I beseech thee to forgive the sins of such as have abandoned the physical garment and have ascended to the spiritual world. May our love guide you home. May our prayers carry you home. Oh my Lord, purify them from trespassing, dispel their sorrows and change their darkness into light. Cause them to enter the garden of happiness and delight. Cleanse them with the most pure water and grant them to behold thy might. Cleanse them with the most pure water and grant them to behold thy splendor on the loftiest mount. May our love guide you home. May our prayers carry you home. May God open the door. May He welcome you home. Ooh, ooh,
Wow, thank you everybody that put that together. At this time, I would like to call on Mayor Tornick, see if he would like to say anything.
Thank you, Scott. Look, I'm grateful to be able to share this wonderful memorial to Dorothea. Pasadena, and really the world, is in the throes of this terrible pandemic event. And Dorothea is one of 70 people who have died in our small city. Most of them, as you probably know, have been seniors, older people. And there are some that have been kind of cavalier about that and said, well, look, this is a disease of old people, and they've had a full life, and really we should just get on with things, and we don't need to be too concerned about this. But she really puts a face on this for our community, I think. She is illustrative of what some of our seniors have contributed but continue to contribute to our community, and the discussion about her work in the area of food security and her preoccupation with that and what she's done over the years about that really shine a bright light on that subject. This is what we're all freaked out about now, food security for people. But what this pandemic has done is to shine a light on conditions that were already here. And Brian was kind enough, and it was in the slideshow, Brian was kind enough to, I don't know how this is working, but to send me this photo that's about a year ago or so at a food security event that I was at with Dorothea. She knew what an important issue this was for our city, and she was doing something about it. And I think that these kinds of issues in our society the wisdom and the energy that some of our older people invest in helping the rest of us to try to deal with it are irreplaceable. And so Dorothea's loss really tears a hole in the fabric of our city, and she will be missed, as will the others who have succumbed to this terrible disease. But our thoughts and prayers, I found this service very meaning. It's helpful to me and trying to brighten my day with some of the things that I'm dealing with today. So I'm grateful for having an opportunity to share this time with you. Thank you, Scott.
I want to call on Pasadena School Board Trustee Michelle Bailey. She'd like to say anything.
Sure. Thank you, Scott. Hello, everyone. You know, I had the privilege to meet Dorothea Bradley when I went to work for the American Friends Service Committee when they were on Fair Oaks. She ran her food bank out of the back of the building.
Right.
And I just will never forget that voice. Every day was a happy day when she came into the building. She always had something very positive to say, and you couldn't miss it because she was going to shout it out. Yeah. And so it's funny because she knew me before I was Michelle Bailey. So, so of course she was just overjoyed when I met and married my husband. And I remember when we announced that we were having the first baby, how excited Dorothea was. I am really going to miss her. My husband got to meet her as well because he volunteers at the public television station here in Pasadena, where Dorothea had her show. And so, you know, I was happy that, you know, they made the connection. But I thank you all for doing this for her. She's so deserving of this and more. She poured everything she had into this community. And so thank you, and thank you for the opportunity.
At this point, before we open it up for general, I wanted to ask Brian Barry, who you all may have noticed some wonderful tributes that he's written in the local papers, electronic papers. So Brian, I know that you had a long relationship.
Yeah, first of all, I wanted to say thank you to Scott and thanks to Mayor Tornick for all of the kind words about Dorothea. And one thing I wanted to remark on was the fact that when we think about legacy, when we think about our impact in our lives, it is by how we're remembered. And this conversation today is emblematic of how Dorothea reached all of our lives, and the outpouring of emotion and of reflection and of wisdom from all of the people who are participating is really, truly amazing. But it demonstrates what kind of a person Dorothea was and how beneficial she was to our community. She also is representative of what I would term the power of one, the people who are unsung heroes who are never recognized in broad or grandiose ways, and yet have an enormous positive influence on our lives. She was someone who was behind the scenes in many respects and never attempted to gain a lot of attention for herself. So I just find this to be an astounding activity, an outpouring of community, of respect, and of caring and thoughtfulness. And I think that what we should do is to carry that on. The mayor's comments about food insecurity, I think we should all be thinking about how we can carry Dorothea's legacy on into the future by caring about the least of these in the Pasadena-Altadena area. So thank you, Scott, for allowing me to make a couple of comments. I've known Dorothea for over 25 years, and so it was quite a loss to me to learn of her death. So best wishes, and I hope we all continue to fight for the issues that Dorothea fought for.
Thank you. Now we're going to open it up for reflections from anyone. I do have two screens, so I'm going to try to see who's raising their hand.
I got my hand up.
Okay, whoever that was, go ahead.
Robin, yeah. I'm like most of the people probably on this screen today. I've known Dorothy. I knew her probably 30 years. I was trying to think back on when we actually met up, probably something like that. And every time somebody mentions something, I go, oh yeah, I remember that, working out at the back of that, down there on the boys club. Oh my gosh, I remember those things. The main thing I really remember her for, and I think she would want to be remembered for, is that was one of her favorite phrases, was to walk in God's smile. That was her thing. And she was one of those people, she didn't play, you know, she did not play. She acted on what she believed in. And and that was true throughout her whole life. All of the things that she did, all of the people that she met, all of the relationships she had, they were there for something way past her. She wasn't playing. She was doing what she believed in, which was to help mankind. So, she really did. And she never, ever wavered from that. No matter what, when she was happy, when she was sad, when she was healthy, when she was sick, when I saw her the last few times and she was confined to bed, and she was out at City of Hope 3 times a week for blood transfusions. Oh my gosh. And it never, interestingly enough, whenever I walked in, she was right there. It was like nothing had happened. And she expected everybody to just do that. I mean, you know, she just had there was no, I don't even know how to say it. That was just who she was. She expected that, and, you know, God bless her for it. I'll always, always remember her. Yeah.
Thank you, Robin. I'm looking. Meredith, no? Meredith, no. Somebody else? Oh, Wanda Knox. What is it? So Pasadena Media, go ahead. What do you want to unmute?
Yeah, I got it. How are you? I have to step in and say a few words just because Pasadena Media was the place where she produced her TV show. And I remember her from way back from down at Hudson where it kind of started to where when it moved up to Hen's Teeth. And one thing I do remember, she used to have her dog as somebody very special come in on the set. So if any of you remember were her guest, you would remember her dog just wandering around the set while she was conducting this TV show. It was really great. But she always had a great spirit, and she just light up the place when she came in. And it was always, and she always had a great sense of humor. That I always remember that. She had, she just throw a zinger at you, and you was like, what? And you wouldn't expect it. But she was quick-witted, and she was very funny. She was a wonderful person. So I just wanted to say a few words on behalf of Pasadena Media, her home studio, basically. Thanks.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Wanda Knox Gonçalves. My husband, Stelo Nilsson, and we live in Bahia, Brazil. We've been in Brazil for about 6-7 years now, and we talk to Dorothea on the telephone quite often. So last time we talked to Dorothea was on the 10th of April. And so she didn't sound very good, but I thought maybe it was from the dialysis that she was a little tired. And my experience with Dorothea is from over 40 years. So I met Dorothea in 77. I had just graduated from college, and she had lived in Africa, and I had lived in Africa also. And we had come together because she knew my sister-in-laws. She knew my brother because let me get this straight. She went to school with my sister-in-law, Sandra Knox. And so we know Dorothea on a family level, on a friend level, and also from the work that she did in the community. I can remember when she first started the program, the food bank program. And I can remember the tedious, painstaking work she did to pull together all the different components of that program. And I remember her living on Earlham Street in Pasadena, and that we would all come over and volunteer our time, put together the baskets, and it was work, but it was also fun. Dorothea made everything fun. Dorothea's life was fun. She came to enjoy. She enjoyed and she helped. And there was no demarcation. You could do all of it at the same time. You could have a good time and you can do good for folks too. And I think that's how she kind of lived her life, that she would bring joy and she would bring help and she would bring love. And I think it's interesting that Dorothea left in a pandemic, you know? Yeah. We were talking about that the other day. Here is this event that happens only once in 100 years, and Dorothea exits stage right during this event. And maybe it was the time for Dorothea to leave like that. So the other thing I think that's so important is that Dorothea was Pasadena. And I appreciate Mayor Tornek saying that we don't put a face to all of the people who have died because of this terrible disease. And I think Dorothea is our little poster girl, if you will. And more than that, she lets us know that as being part of Pasadena, this service was part of who she was. It was who her mother was. It was the people that she had come from. And so Dorothea is totally different from anybody, I think, in her family, but she is also very much part of the fabric of Pasadena. She's part of that tapestry of Pasadena. And we will miss her, and I think that the city will sorely miss their Dorothea Bradley. Thank you.
It's wonderful to hear from you down south. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Pat. I'm in Tucson, Arizona. And I was friends with Dorothea. I counted them up for 47 years. We've known each other and stayed in touch. And hi. Oh, this is my grandson, Logan. Okay, you do your iPad. I remember the day I met Dorothea. She was running a program called Interdisciplinary Facilitators Incorporated, IDF. Maybe some of you have heard her talk about IDF. But she was helping young people that they were referred to as recalcitrant intractables, and they were coming out of some prisons where young people had committed crimes and were placed in there, and she was going in there and taking them out. And the program was on Marengo Street in Pasadena, there in the north part of Pasadena. And one of my roommates was a conscientious objector from the Vietnam War, and that was the workers that Dorothea was using, was all the very passive people in our society. And he came home one day and said, I've been assigned to this program up in Pasadena. We were living in La Habra at the time in Orange County. He says, you have to meet this woman. And I remember the day I walked into the kitchen, the house on Marengo, she was washing dishes. She turned around and just amazingly illuminated my life at that moment. The next thing I knew, I was moving in to the program and helping too. And it was just a wonderful relationship we had. One thing that I remember was she was honored by the National Drug Abuse Training Center in Washington, D.C. with a 2-week seminar, and they gave her a first-class plane ticket, 2 actually. She could bring 1 staff member back to D.C. She said she cashed that in for bus tickets for everyone in the program. And 10 of us loaded on a bus with 100 pieces of fried chicken and Cokes. Okay, just keep playing. And went off to this training center for 2 weeks. And then I had the great fortune of traveling on a bus with her for another 2 weeks after that. We went to New York, stayed with my aunt. Just wonderful memories of Dorothea and how she touched people's lives throughout my life. She came to visit in Tucson many times, and I remember when her mom died, she came out and stayed with me for a few days and was really really hurt by that experience. She loved her mother. She was very, very close to her. But anyway, and I want to give a shout out to Chat, who was caring for Dorothea over the last 10 years. And what a wonderful spirit he is too, to stay with her. I know how much Dorothea loved Chat. Anyway, it's a great little memorial we're doing here for her, and I appreciate it very much. And I'm very grateful I've had a chance to talk about Dorothea just a little bit. Thank you.
Esther, bottom. Mona, very bottom. Mona did it. Go ahead.
Thank you for having it. I really appreciate it. I met Dorothy in 2000 when we went to Africa. She was on her mission to help some of the challenges that was going on over there. I didn't know her birthday. Told me the lady in the wheelchair recognized her voice. And that was the way that I recognized her here at the airport. She said, hello, I'm over here. And I said, now, who is this? All this power and it was I really appreciate it, and I'm hoping I did call in great things to happen for Dorothy in her illness these last years. Thank you all so much for doing this for Dorothy. And someone said earlier, she is host person pathogen for this virus because we couldn't attack faces with it. And she had done so much, so to overcome challenges. Thank you all for having this. Thank you so much. Always love you, appreciate it. The usefulness. She always gave me that joy. No, we can do it. We can do it. Come back. That doesn't dry up way. Shoot again. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a Galaxy S10.
That's you, Hope. I can't hear you. We can't hear you, Mom.
You got a mic?
She's doing it from a computer. Or maybe her phone.
Gotta have a mic. We'll come back. We'll come back, Hope. Who is it? Shed. Shed Myers? You'd like to say something?
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle Bailey, for suggesting that I say a word. It's really nice to be in your company. I'm beaming in from Ventura. I knew Dorothea from the late 1980s. As Michelle said, she's running her food program from the back of our office on North Fair Oaks next to the Jackie Robinson Center. And for 10 years, all of us who worked in that building really enjoyed Dorothea's spirit and her works of service. I got very close to Dorothea, spent a lot of time at her house, helping sort through the chaos of, beautiful chaos of that place, with food everywhere. We worked on a number of projects together. I remember very fondly she catered my first book party in Los Angeles, and then couldn't cater my wedding reception in Los Angeles, but sent along, because it was in December, sent along a bunch of calendars, Christmas Advent calendars with chocolate in them. So everyone got one of those. You know, all of you have expressed so beautifully her spirit. Listening to all of you, it's like turning this jewel and seeing all the facets. She had really unique relationships with everyone she met, and really made everybody special. And she also challenged folks to, all of us, to work through the idiosyncrasies and occasional chaos of her method to get to the spirit that undergirded everything that she did. I want to say to the Baha'i Fellowship there in Pasadena, she was a great ambassador of her faith and your faith, and I'm so appreciative for you curating this time and these testimonies. Like all of you, I hold her very dear in my heart, and thanks to Brian for his great tributes, and thanks again for Michelle for alerting me to her passing. Many blessings to all of you.
Thanks, Ched. Mona, if it's okay if I read what Hope said. Hope says, my microphone is not working. I met Dorothea and her mother Elizabeth in 1965 when I selected them to be contestants on Hollywood Squares. We've remained friends since then. From Hope Murray. Dorothea Bradley was not just a person, she was a phenomenon. You didn't just know her, you experienced her. Although life was not easy for Dorothea, she spent it trying to find ways to make it easier for others. We met 50 years ago when she was a contestant on Hollywood Squares and remained friends ever since. I could write a book describing Dorothea, but no one would ever believe it. She was smart, creative, devoted, loving, empathetic, spiritual, energetic, imaginative, generous, and a bit crazy wild in a good way. Oh, the stories I could tell you. She called me her best friend. I called her my sister. Sleep well and rest in peace, my sister. Thank you, Ho. Let's see. Anybody else? Nope. I'm looking. Oh, Faraday.
Hello?
Faraday's. Sorry, I don't know who is first.
Kevin.
Go ahead. Okay, Mona's calling the shots.
Who's first?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I didn't know Dorothea that long, but it was like love at first sight when I first met her. It was like not meeting someone new, but meeting someone you already knew. And she was like pure love. And I remember that she invited my brother and I to the last Thanksgiving feast that she had at the Pasadena Sandwich Company. And I was just amazed. It wasn't just a feast. I mean, she had everything, professional photographers taking pictures and arts and crafts and massages and clothes and anything you could think of. And she was a phenomenon. And I lost my brother 5 days before Dorothea, and when I heard about Dorothea, I felt like he went ahead of her because he was such a gentleman. And when she asked him, "What do you have to say, Brother Lou?" And he says, "I can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be in the whole universe than here with you now." And so I think he went ahead of her so he could hold the gates of heaven open. And he felt the same way, love at first sight. Why? Because he was pure love and she was pure love. And she will be missed, but I'm going to carry her in my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have I don't know if there was somebody waiting. I do have a statement from Pasadena firefighter who couldn't make it. I can read that now if you'd like to. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is from Stephen Lawhorn. This is my apologies, but I'll be on duty at Fire Station 38 and will be unable to attend. Know that I feel an extreme loss in not being able to work alongside my friend Dorothea in the future. God's blessings to all friends and family as we will miss our beloved friend. Thank you for thinking of me and inviting me to her celebration of life. Best regards, Stephen Lawhorn from the Pasadena Fire Department. So she touched everyone. Anyone else?
Kevin? Kevin Cloud?
Oh, Kevin, go ahead. Sure.
I was trying to.
Oh, there you go. Okay, there you go.
50 loaves of bread on the table for people to eat, and that she'd just gotten from Trader Joe's. And then she'd leave it. We have a mountain of bread we had to deal with sometimes. And she loved food. We would, I would drive her wheelchair van because she wanted to have tongue in Chino at a Basque restaurant. So we would everybody get together and drive for an hour so she could go have tongue in the Basque restaurant. And we would go there during a lunchtime. They have a special lunch where all these Basque people come and sit at the table and share. And by the time we left, she was a member of the family. I remember another time she was doing a TV show, and she's very spontaneous. She's an idea person. She could generate a million ideas a minute, and she'll generate the ideas, and then then we all have to do it. And one of the things was a TV show. She come in, and there's a certain amount of production you need to do to get it going, but she would always be throwing us curveballs, like. We'd be 5 minutes before the show starts, and she'd say, "Oh, by the way, there's a 5-piece band coming." And normally you have to light them and get microphones on them, but that wasn't really a matter because here they come and on they go. And I think Chat was mentioned earlier, but I think we really need to acknowledge how important Chat Ratanamut was. He was her caregiver for many years, and a lot of what Dorothea did would not be possible without Chat's work, and lifting her out of the bed and taking her to the music center because she wanted to see the Temptations play, and she'd be sitting there at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion singing at the top of her voice, along with all the actors who were playing the Temptations in the show. She's just very spontaneous. I think I first met her when a filmmaker named Colleen Grace came into the station because she was shooting a documentary on Dorothea, who had taken over a boarded up HUD house under the idea that HUD is supposed to be providing housing for everybody, but they had all these boarded up houses in Pasadena. So she took it over. And the filmmaker captured when the marshals came to evict her, which was one of the most interesting comments, or one of the most interesting things. And she talked them out of it. They didn't evict her. And she just was a wonderful person, bigger than life. And she would just totally be missed. The last project she was working on is she was trying to work out a mobile dialysis system for people who needed dialysis, so you weren't chained to a City of Hope 3 times a week. You could go to a hotel and get dialysis. You could even have them come to your house and just do the dialysis. While she was bedridden, near the end of her life, she actually kind of became incoherent a bit from the disease. And I don't think we knew it was COVID until the doctors gave that warning, but she was still wanting to do a TV show in bed. And we were in the middle of the pandemic and we couldn't get cameras from the station. But somehow she wanted to do a show from the bed about her ailment and to let people know that you can still live a good life without a kidney and be on dialysis. And I've got a million stories. She had a million stories, and she had this voice that you'll never forget. Where she would go, "Did I ever tell you about the time I fell off a camel in Morocco?" That was, she would tell stories like that. And some of the best shows that she ever did, I'll end on this. Some of the best shows she ever did was when a guest wouldn't show up. And she had the studio, so she would just talk and tell stories. She had the most amazing stories. She lived everywhere in the Canary Islands. She lived in New York. Dinah Washington was her godmother. She had a lot of boyfriends, including famous artists, and she just knows everybody. And there's nobody going to replace her. That's all I guess I have to say. She's just a lot of stories, wonderful stories, and wonderful times in our lives. So she will be missed.
Okay, so the requests that I have are Donald and then Gene Dixon, and there's a chat. Is that right?
Yes.
Chat's raising his hand. Okay, why don't you go ahead, Chat? If you can, if you could unmute yourself.
Yeah, until I find them, it may be easier if they unmute themselves.
The one that says KHONG
Okay, just a second. Oh, got it, got it.
Yeah. Wait, now it's muted again.
No,
All right.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, I something to read for her. Yes, it goes. It is my inestimable honor to say that Dorothea Bradley was an aspiring genius, recognized authority, and full of hope, even when she got ill. Those people who assisted her were augmented forces to support her to accomplish her goals. Hope was the essence that drive her. Walk in heaven with Baha'u'llah's smile and keep Buddha in her heart. May she rest in peace.
Oh, thank you very much, dear chat. Thank you. Donald.
Hello, everybody. It's been a long time. I'm seeing people I haven't seen in years and years here, and thank you for coming to this memorial for Dorothea. I find that I was very lucky because Dorothea she was really family, and I grew up with her my whole life. She took me under her wing, and she wanted me to expand my horizons. She wanted me to look at the world, with wide eyes and enjoy it. And her heart was so good. As I was growing up, we'd come down to Pasadena for the summers, and we'd stay with Dorothea and her mother, Aunt Libby. And we did this like many years. Every year we'd kind of come down and spend a couple of weeks. It was so much fun. She made every trip an adventure. And through the times, as I got older, Dorothea, we went to Trinidad twice for Carnival because we talked about going to Carnival, and we finally made it to Carnival in Trinidad. And that was so much fun. And but we'd still come back, and I'd help her with the food bank, and we'd drive up to Salinas, and she'd talk to the wholesalers, and next thing you know, there'd be a 18-wheel truck on Earlham Street unloading food. It was just amazing what she could do. And like you said, she was an idea person. She had ideas that I can know of that she'd have an idea 10 years before it would show up in the real world. And the big problem was none of us knew how to engineer something like this. And finally, after so many years, it would show up. Someone would finally think about it. Like one of her big thoughts was how to make a portable handicap toilet. No one had those. She thought about it, and she said, this is not fair that handicapped people can't go to concerts and stuff. And 10 years after she thought about this and is looking at me like, well, do you know how to do that? I'm like, no idea. But someone did come up with the idea. I just think, it was amazing. And her ideas kept coming. She never stopped. And I actually feel I was really lucky to have a cousin like Dorothea, because she just opened the world, and her heart was so large. And I'll miss her. I'll miss her a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. Gene.
Well, hello everyone. I think my wife wants to say a few words after I say my little 2 cents. I've known Dorothea since the early 90s, I believe. That's when I first met her. It was actually, I think it was me and Bob Helwig. We worked together. And so in our struggling business, we had a lot of time. So we would once a week go down there to help Dorothea. And she had that, where I heard people say it earlier, when she was over on Fair Oaks next to the Jackie Robinson Center. And we would ride down with her in a U-Haul truck to downtown to the food, the whatever they call that district. And like you said, Scott, she had these relationships. And everybody just gave her all kind of stuff. We go down. We didn't know what we were gonna come back with. But when we came back, we had all this food, and then we would spend the rest of the day bagging it all up so that it could be handed out that next day, or maybe even that night, or that afternoon. And she always, like everyone said, she was always happy. She was very what's the word I'm looking for? She would encourage me all the time, and she wouldn't let me go home without a bag, because she knew that we were struggling. So it was a blessing in a multiple of ways to be able to serve. One of the things, though, that I appreciate about Dorothea Bradley was her consistency. I mean, she's, like everyone said, she's been doing the same thing for 30, 40 years, making sure others have food in their belly. And no matter what she was going through personally, she made sure others were taken care of, even to the extent where she would sacrifice her own health. So she's an example for us all, and how, at least for me, is that my deeds have to exceed my words. We can all talk a good game, but it's the deeds that we do that matter. And she was an example of that. And I love her, and I miss her. Renee?
Yes, Dorothea to me is what a true Baha'i is supposed to be. She lived her life in service. And there's an analogy that Baha'u'llah uses. He talks about the candle, how it gives its light. It melts down and gives its life to give light. And that was Dorothea. She spent her whole life giving to others. And, she was a force. And she would have these ideas, and she would tell you what to do. And it didn't matter that you had some other thought that you should be doing, because she was sure that what you should be doing is what she was telling you to do. And I may get to the next world and she was right. Like, why didn't you do what Dorothea said? She had her ideas, and she was such an amazing soul, and it was always about giving and doing for others, like Jean said. And I liked what everyone said, such beautiful things. I mean, we all would hope that somebody would say half the things that people are saying today about us, right? But what Brian Beery said to me, said to everyone, struck with me. It was that we should do things, we should continue to do what Dorothea did. right? To serve others. And I think we should do them in her name. If we do good deeds in her name, it helps her soul progress in the next world. And I'm certain that she already has a very high station. Abdul-Baha, the son of Baha'u'llah, says, the highest station you can achieve is to be of service to humanity, to be a servant. So I did that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene and Renee. Meredith sent in something. Meredith Murray, I'll go ahead and read it. Dorothea Bradley was my godmother. She always called me by my first and middle names, Meredith Dawn. She was truly one of a kind. Dorothea was part of my family. Dorothea loved animals and went above and beyond to feed people who were hungry and homeless. She attended all of my birthday parties, taught me to embrace my uniqueness, and showed me the importance of giving unconditionally. Her mere presence and bountiful energy will be missed by everyone who is fortunate enough to have known her. Thank you, Meredith. Looks like Roger.
I'm here with you from Sweden. I've known Dorothea since 1983. Was working at that time on a cruise ship from Norway, a Norwegian cruise ship. And when I signed off the ship, I went to Los Angeles and she gave me an open home and she said, "This is your home in California." And every 5 years I came to visit her. First time she had the dog called Can Soda and someone called, I think it was Sylvia and her family was living there. And then I went home after I stayed there for a couple of weeks. And a few years later, I came to her house and she had a new family living with her and a new dog. And it kept going like that for every time I visited her, it was something new, but it was always the same also. It was her food project, it was her things that she was going on. And it was just really fun to have this California family that she said, it's your family. The last time I brought my daughter was in 2016, and she said, I'll make her my godchild. It was always something really going on that for me here in Sweden, it's just odd. You know, it was just really crazy. So I just wanted to share you with that. She was a very open, happy person to, you know, you always was leaving her with a smile because something she said or so. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you, Roger, for calling in. Did we want to, we do have a closing prayer from Claudia, and we will have a devotional next week, I believe.
Yes.
And Mona has told me that she will let everybody know through email, has everybody's emails, and will provide a link to that devotional. But we do have prepared a closing prayer, right, Claudia?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You know, I have thought about one prayer in Spanish, and I didn't met her, but as I was hearing everybody, I got a glance of her spirit, and I have to change the prayer. So this is I think it resembles her life. It's a prayer in Spanish about giving and console others before you console yourself. So that's what it is, basically the main message. So if you don't understand the words, it's okay. The main topic is just a glimpse of Dorothy. That's exactly the words of this prayer, okay? So here I go. Make me a channel of your peace. Hazme un instrumento de tu paz. Donde haya odio, lleve yo tu amor. donde haya injurias, tu perdón, Señor. Donde haya duda, fe en ti. Haz mi instrumento de tu paz, perdonando que nos das perdón, dando ayuda a la que tú nos das, y muriendo es que volvemos a nacer. Maestro, ayúdame a nunca buscar querer ser consolado como consolar, ser entendido como entender, ser amado como yo amar. Make me a channel of your peace. Haz mi instrumento de tu paz.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, everybody. Mona wanted me to say that if she doesn't have your email, Mona is on this, running the show here, Mona Shagoli. If you don't have her email, please send it to her, and she'll send you the Zoom link for next Sunday's devotional. Thank you all for celebrating Dorothea's life with us, and so many people she touched and loved. It's obvious, your love for her. It's a reflection of her love for you. And so we've all been blessed. And as Brian Berry said, we all have an opportunity to carry forward her spirit of service. And Renee said as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, all the guests. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was very beautiful.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you, Mona and Scott.
Walk your Baha'u'llah smile.
Thank you, everyone.
Tell somebody you love them.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's good to see.
Tell somebody.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chet, for your service to her.
Thank you, Chad.
Yes.
For sharing.
Yeah.
I guess we can leave.
Okay, friends.
I guess we can leave. Are you sure you can leave?
It's been a long time, Pat.
Leave.
Hi, Sylvian.
Hey, Scott.
Sylvian and Andre, hello. Thank you for joining.
Hello, everybody. Everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
It was really nice.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Mona.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
Delight, Debbie. Bye, Carol. Bye, Don. Bye, G. And
Bye, Kaidib. Bye, Claudia. All right. See you guys later. Goodbye.
all right. Later. Okay.